Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of What's Happening. I'm George Binns with Gail Burke, Elliot Margolis, and Stuart Gardner. And this evening we're having a round table, a square table, octagonal table discussion of foreign policy. And basically what it comes down to right now is we've got two major concerns in the world, China and Russia. Both of them can cause a lot of problems, but nobody wins the war. So war is not really an option anymore. So the issue comes down, I think, one of how do we get along with these different people? And I think one of the major concerns we have is if Russia gets too cozy with Germany, all of a sudden Europe stretches from essentially Ireland all the way to Vladivostok on the Pacific. That's a heck of a big country with an awful lot of resources, and it could be a formidable competitor to our economic system. China is also on the move to become a major power in the world. So there is an area where we have a major conflict, and we're going at each other right now with the trade competition and tariffs. But where do you think this is going to go, Stuart?
I think you said it, but I'd like to point out if our biggest problems are China and Russia, why is our president alienating Canada, alienating England, alienating other countries that we've traditionally been very good friends with, very good trade relations with, and really concentrate on the Russia and China? It doesn't feel like he's doing that.
I'm not sure he's alienating them. First of all, I'll have to disagree with you. I think Iran is also one of the countries that we have to be careful with.
You can throw in Pakistan, too, if you wanted a few more in there.
But, you know, if you consider saying to somebody, you know, I want fair trade, but if we're not going to have fair trade, I'm going to charge you what you're charging me for imports and exports, that's not unreasonable. And if you're upset about the fact that I'm going to increase my tariffs, well, why don't you just decrease yours and let's call it a day? Sort of like with NATO. Okay, the United States has been paying the major part of NATO. Why? It's the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, and those countries are all a part of it. Shouldn't they be paying their fair share? If that's what you call intimidation, or if that's what you call antagonizing somebody, so be it.
I mean, they're obliged to pay 2% or whatever the number is, and I think they should, their gross domestic product. But what I don't like, again, is you've got Vladimir Putin, who's a dictator, who all of a sudden is Trump's buddy, and he's like, oh, we'll meet, and, you know, Putin's a nice guy, and I respect him, and all this kind of stuff. You know, the problem with the Soviet Union, or, excuse me, Russia, is they're not our friend. I mean, they're a dictatorship. They annexed Crimea. They went into Ukraine. They support other dictators like the guy in Syria. Thank you, Syria. And what concerns me is if I was president, I'd want a united front. I'd want to go, okay, Canada, okay, Mexico, okay, England, maybe okay, Germany. You know, the bad actors, Iran, China, Russia, have to be accountable for their actions in the international community, and I don't see that. I see Trump going after everybody, and I get the bad trade deals, but you don't speak. If there's a bad deal, then you correct it, and you go, you know what, guys, this has been going on too long. You don't speak ill will of partners that we've been trading with for hundreds of years without problems.
Well, you do. You do. If things are not going to be any advantage at all to the United States. And for years, several presidents have been doing the same old thing. Doesn't get any better for us. Now we have a guy that says, well, wait a minute. As Elliot said, why are we paying so much in tariffs? Why are we footing most of the bill for NATO? That's not right. And now you have whatever Trump does, of course, he's wrong. And just because he's willing to talk to Putin, and he's willing to talk to the European Union, he doesn't always agree with them. Maybe he says good things about Putin. Does that mean that he's buddy-buddy with him and he's cozying up to him? No, he's a wheeler dealer, and that's what you do. Any other president showing the press would be saying, "Oh, he's so diplomatic. He's doing this and he's doing that," but not with Trump. As a matter of fact, let me read something from Breitbart. President Trump scored a major win by reaching a limited trade deal with the European Union, which made a major concession to the United States to avoid a trade war. That's according to news anchor Neil Cavuto of Fox News. Now, Neil Cavuto is no friend of the president. He's not a supporter of the president. Last week, he blasted President Trump over his press conference with Putin in Helsinki. But now, he's admitting that this is a major win for the president. And if it's a major win for the president, it's a major win for our country. He's the leader of our country. He puts our country first. This is something that hasn't been done for a long time.
My question to you is this. Why is it bad that that Trump talks to Putin, Trump talks to Kim Jong-un, Trump may talk to the mullahs in Iran, but when Hillary talked to them or when Obama talked to them, that was okay? I'm kind of curious.
I'm going to answer the question. I got no problem with Trump talking to Putin. I got a problem with him saying, "I don't trust our own intelligence agencies," and you didn't chair an election,
well,
which is just crap.
Well, wait a minute. What about our intelligence agencies said that Iraq had weapons of mass destruction? Were they right?
Well, that's
I
different.
asked. No, it's not. It's our intelligence agencies
and that was George Bush's
failing.
agenda. That was George Bush's agenda.
It was our no, because our intelligence said they had them. The German intelligence said they had them. The Russian intelligence said they had
If you
them.
read all the stuff post the war with Iraq, you'll see that this was all a George Bush agenda that made all these agencies, and they had sort of information. They sort of cherry-picked the pieces that they want to show that Iraq had weapons of mass destruction. This is a clear case of Russian interference with our elections, and you guys don't seem to care. This is an act of aggression against the United States, but you don't care because your guy won.
There is no evidence that it changed anything. None. Zero.
Well,
After two and a half years,
none that they put
there's
out yet.
no evidence.
That's not true.
You keep
They've been
waiting.
doing this
you
for a
keep
year and a
waiting for the
half.
smoking gun.
Bill
There isn't
Clinton,
any.
Seriously.
Bill Clinton was under investigation in his whole presidency.
Seriously, they knew about the Russian involvement in the elections last September 2016.
Right, sure.
They did nothing about it.
Yeah,
All of a sudden,
that's Obama's fault.
understand, it's also the fault of the agency itself. They
right.
didn't push forward.
Go ahead,
Now,
sorry.
we go one step further. They indicted 13 Russians about a year ago. Whatever happened? Nothing.
Well, there's just a bunch of recent indictments now.
Well, they can't
Well,
do anything.
they
They're
can't
not
charge them.
citizens.
Interestingly enough, they roll out the indictments 2 days before the president goes off to meet with Putin. Don't you think that gives a little bit of a curiosity factor in there?
Maybe. I also don't like the
Maybe.
fact. I also like the fact that your president said the Russian intelligence could interview a U.S. citizen.
Why not?
First of all, he's your president too.
My president too. Okay, so you guys love the Second Amendment. Before the Second Amendment, there's this First Amendment, which is we have the right of the press, the right to assemble, the right to redress your grievances against the government. That guy doesn't care about those things, not Mr. Trump, Mr. Putin. And that's what concerns me the most, is that all of a sudden we're talking about, oh, it's not so bad, and maybe they cheated a little bit, maybe they didn't cheat that much, there's no evidence to support this. This guy is a bad guy. He kills his opposition, he doesn't allow any of these types of freedoms, and the things that we value so much don't exist in his country.
Wait a minute.
Please.
Let's go back in history a little bit. Remember during the Second World War? Remember the big three? Who was the big three? It was Franklin Delano Roosevelt, it was Winston Churchill, and it was Joseph Stalin.
Yeah.
Meeting.
Yep.
How many people did Joseph Stalin murder in his lifetime?
Well, that was because the big enemy was
It
Adolf
doesn't
Hitler.
matter. They had to reach
together, I get it.
an agreement on different things.
It's messier than that.
Well, it is messier than that. But you're talking about Trump, and you're talking about him alienating the CIA and the FBI. Look at the lies that the leaders of the CIA and the FBI have told to, what's his face? the guy that's in charge.
Clapper?
No, well,
Wilson.
Clapper lied. He lied to Congress. Brennan lied to Congress. They've all lied.
So you-
are you telling me that he's supposed to be friendly with them and rely on their information?
I'm saying you don't go
I
up to the
don't
general
think
public
so.
and you don't say things like
course he
Canada's leader is weak. You know, Canada's weak.
Yes.
England leader's weak. Oh, but Putin's a strong man and can do stuff. Listen, here's something that like
Is that not true?
We keep beating on the bush. You can get more done with a dictatorship. You know, if the United States was a dictatorship, you'd get roads built, you'd get things done, you'd have much more efficiency.
Yeah,
but we wouldn't be the country we are today.
We'd be ended up like China, where we have a serious problem of a discontinuity between the people that live on the coast and the people that live inboard.
I think there's a huge problem. You talk about trade with China, you talk about the
No,
United States.
just the way
general.
the dictatorship in China is working. It is very narrowly focused on the coast. The coast is gorgeous. They've got the latest and greatest
Sure,
of everything.
sure.
But you've got 550 million people in China living on $5.50 a day. We get all nervous and jerky around here about, well, there's income inequality. It's nothing compared to what China has.
Well, I agree.
So the fact that, yeah, dictators can make some things happen, they
Dicta-
can't do the work that a democracy does.
7% of the roads in North Korea are paved. So I don't think dictatorships necessarily build the roads and make things better.
Yeah, but they got a missile program and they got a nuclear program.
Yeah,
They don't
that's
care
because
about
they've
the,
concentrated on
made
they
the-
that
don't care
happen.
about the people. What about Venezuela? They
I
don't
was
care
just
about their
gonna say
people.
I agree, but you don't see. But then you support guys from Canada, you support guys from England, you support other
Support
democracies.
Well, the guys
How?
from Canada are not supporting us.
They're not supporting
So,
us.
of course they are. We have a
Sir,
we-
we have a serious
No, we
problem on the border between us and Canada over shipping softwood into this country. There is one heck of a price difference between growing here.
I'm familiar with it.
We're being taken off, raked over the coals by the Canadians for that.
So do
And it's been talked about for years, and nothing happens.
so,
So all of a sudden he says, look, guys, fix the problem. You're not doing a good job. He's got their attention, and all of a sudden, now they're starting to think different. The difference I think you don't want to recognize is the gentleman that has just run for president of Mexico was lambasting Trump every chance he got. Now that he's elected, well, I think we can work together.
That's right. Of
of course
Reality
they want to work
sets
with the
in.
United States.
Okay.
We're the biggest dog on the street. I
Of
get
course.
But up until now, the other presidents of Mexico have done everything they could to slam us and Trump. They weren't cooperating. They're open borders. The people are coming. Now we have somebody in Mexico that's saying, "Well, wait a minute, maybe we can work together."
I think the damage that President Trump is doing to our international relations will be long lasting.
I think the damage that Obama did to our country, Trump has come along. He's going to fix it and make our country not subservient to anybody.
Who are we
And
subservient to? We're the richest country in the world.
Obama went
Right
all
now, we've
over
got
the
a serious
world.
problem in
With-
Pakistan, where Pakistan is deeply in debt to the Chinese. And we are paying money into the IMF, International Monetary Fund.
Yeah.
And they're using that money to pay off the Chinese debts. So we're paying the Pakistanis' debts for the Chinese.
Well, Pakistan's got a
That is horrible.
They're a corrupt government with nuclear
Understand,
missiles.
but
So, and then going back
those
to
are the problems that have been festering around this country for a long time.
Agreed. And going back to NATO, what you were saying, and you're saying we're fitting the bill. We're fitting the bill because NATO was made because all the other countries after World War II were destroyed, and the only one that could protect from the
Oh, yeah.
from the Soviet communist bloc
That was 70
us.
years ago.
But Putin still has the same designs. He still wants to expand his form of government, his form of stuff.
Of course.
But then you
What do
agree
you
with me.
expect No.
Right,
What do you
but-
expect
and
them to
Obama
do?
let him do it. And now Trump is saying, hold on a second, that's not going to happen. Now, you and I are in the same room, okay? So I'll give you a break. You're Trump, I'll be Putin.
Okay.
Okay, just to.
Am I orange enough?
Your hair is perfect.
You don't have enough hair.
But the point is, we're negotiating and we're talking.
Yes.
Okay. Now we go to the press conference and say, that guy is a real SOB.
Yeah.
Is that diplomatic?
I didn't say to say that. I said all he
what
does
are
is.
you saying?
I'm saying that he promotes him. He says, "Oh, Putin." He said, "This is what he said." He said he didn't believe our intelligence agencies over Vladimir Putin. Are you serious?
Actually, that's
in
not
public?
what he said.
Something to that effect. I know I'm
Well,
characterizing
that's
it,
where the
but that's what he
problem
said.
is. It's the difference between what he said and
And
what
what
the
he-
press
what you think he said.
twists it to
So
be.
hold on, you guys. You guys know that he said because he came out the next day and said something
He
different.
corrected it, walked it back,
corrected
yeah.
He walked it back, which is fine. But you don't do that. You don't do that to your own intelligence
Well,
agencies,
let me
against,
ask you
especially
something.
like Russians. Yes, please.
Do you think it was okay for Obama when he had talked to Putin and to Putin's people to say on an open mic, which he didn't realize was open, tell Vlad will be able to make a deal after I'm
After the election.
I will
reelected.
have more flexibility
I'll have
after
more
That's
this.
true, but no,
But he
I wasn't.
said
I wasn't
it.
happy with
What-
Obama with foreign policy
Well,
either. I thought he
no,
did a bad
because
job in Syria. I thought
he didn't
did,
say it out loud.
I thought he did a bad job with Israel.
He didn't say it in public. He thought.
Well, it's
he
because
was,
they're in
he
private,
was saying, yeah. But
talking about what they wanna
happened,
talk about.
But it came out, didn't it?
Do you guys
That's the
care?
kind
Do you
of
guys
thing
care that there might be
that
collusion and the
Obama
Russians
did.
interfere with our election? Does that matter to you guys?
No, I don't
there
think
is
there was
number one,
collusion.
I didn't say that.
collusion's
There's
not-
no
collusion's not illegal,
collusion.
number one. You know that because you're a lawyer. Number two is the only collusion that there was, if there was any, was with Hillary. Because if you follow the money goes with Hillary.
And Obama
Yeah.
as president.
And
Were you
since
bothered
Obama
by that?
knew that Russia was doing something and said, cut it out.
Yeah.
Put it this way: whether you want to support Trump or support Hillary, right? There's Russian aggression, there's Russian interference with our elections. So let's just say that they strung up the arguments. They paid people to.
Let's say, why don't we just say what they really did? They hacked into the DNC.
They hacked into the
email,
RNC and let
they
the
gave it to WikiLeaks,
Yeah.
and WikiLeaks published it.
and didn't do the same thing with the RNC.
So what does that prove?
That-
Maybe they couldn't get into the RNC.
They hacked into both.
because they did not have they did not have the
Maybe they didn't
emails
find anything
and the
worth spreading.
server locked in a closet like Hillary did. So maybe
Well, and
that
our
had
buddy
something
Vlad
to do with
already
it.
said that he really didn't want Hillary to be president.
It doesn't bother you that there's Russian interference with our elections.
No, it does bother me.
It bothers
Of course,
me, but
it
we-
bothers
we
me.
don't
Let me ask you
know
this.
anything
how
about
they
it.
Does
did,
it
what
bother
they did.
you that the United States tried to interfere in the Israeli election?
I don't think anyone should interfere. Yes, I don't think any country should interfere with
Yeah.
any election.
Okay,
But
so here we
specifically,
are.
I'm a U.S. citizen. I don't want any interference. I don't
People
want
in
outside
glass
interference.
houses shouldn't throw rocks. The United States did to other countries what other countries are doing to us. Now, maybe what we ought to do is,
In a
try
perfect
and figure
world,
out
that
how
wouldn't
to
happen.
stop it so it won't happen
And
again.
we're our own worst
but
enemy.
we're guilty.
I agree with that.
With
too.
We're
the
guilty.
election, we can't even have voter ID in our elections, and look what happens. They're coming in over the border. We know that dead people vote. We know that illegal aliens vote. Out in California, they've
Yeah.
passed a law now. Illegals
There's
can
been-
vote.
there's been very
They're
little
gonna
evidence.
do it.
There's been very little evidence to support
No.
it. There's been-
There's a lot of evidence. You don't read it in the mainstream media. That's the problem.
So this is back to media versus
Well,
Yeah,
but
Breitbart.
exactly.
California just said in local elections, illegals can vote.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about that.
And Massachusetts is on that path as well.
Yeah.
It goes to sanctuary cities.
I don't think
then
we're on
we'll
the path
give them-
to allowing illegal
Then we're going to
illegal
give
immigrants to
them
vote.
driver's licenses, and when you get your
They stopped giving
driver's
them driver's
license,
license, yeah.
when you get a driver's license, that's all you need to show to vote.
So they can't vote now.
You know, it's
No.
coming.
No.
Are you happy with that?
I don't
I'm
know.
not.
I don't think non-U.S. citizens should vote in U.S. elections.
Okay,
I
I'm
agree
more
with
afraid
that.
of that than I am of some supposed collusion.
Now that
which
you're in
there's no-
favor of that,
Yeah.
No.
what kind of process do you think we ought to institute to make sure it doesn't happen?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Okay, but that's where we have a disconnect. You come up with these great ideas. Oh, that'd be a nice idea that only citizens can vote. How are you going to make it happen? Oh, I don't know. We just hope for the best.
I wonder if
I
only
don't
people
like
with property should be allowed to vote.
Well, let's go way back.
Going back to the cost of the original
I mean,
Constitution.
I think, or I think there should be a constitutional amendment that everyone has to vote. You know, you only half the people vote in the elections,
Yeah,
right?
no,
Only
that's-
about
Why
half.
would you want everyone to vote? You have people voting who don't even know what they're doing.
So-
that's not a good idea.
You can vote none of the above. You can vote candidate A, candidate B, or
Oh,
none of
come
the above.
on.
But they have to come in.
This is getting silly.
But basically, we're getting a little farther off the foreign
Yeah.
policy issue.
Yes.
The issue really comes down to is how do we deal with Russia, China, and you want to throw in Iran, throw in Pakistan.
I think a united
throw
front
in
is
the
good, but
South.
But I don't think Canada's
South
going to stand behind us.
America
I don't
is
think
a
England's going
problem.
to stand behind us.
South America is a
Oh, I
problem.
think they
Thank you.
will. Of
What
course
about
they
Germany? Germany's very friendly with Putin as well.
Yeah.
Because that's the gas line.
No, I understand
They
that.
need the gas
I
line.
understand that. I
Let me
understand.
ask you a
Germany
question.
influences the European Union.
will. You ever had an argument with your wife?
Never.
Right. You ever
Certainly
had
never want an argument with my wife.
No, the point is, you can have disagreements
Yeah.
and still work together.
Yeah.
Okay, so we disagree with the tariff situation with Canada.
Yeah.
We disagree with the illegals coming in with Mexico. We disagree with the Germans getting gas from Russia. Okay, so we disagree about a couple things. That doesn't mean we can't work together as a united front when something is real important for us.
It doesn't seem that way. It doesn't seem like he's like a uniter. You know, if you had other Republicans that called themselves great uniters, I wouldn't call Mr. Trump a great uniter.
Okay, let me ask you
I
this.
think he's doing
change
pretty
agent.
Over
well.
the past 40 years, with a dozen presidents, maybe a few less than that, how are things going on? How are things going with North Korea? Not too good.
Not well.
Okay.
So I
But
don't know if they're going well now.
Well,
Well, he
but
got to
there's
meet
been
with
a
him and talk
breakthrough.
with him.
Whether
He
it's going well or
did.
not, there's been a different kind of a breakthrough now than we ever had before
Yes,
because
okay.
we've tried something
Okay.
different.
Maybe, but yes and no. Any president could have met with Kim Jong Un. It was the question
Really?
of
Why didn't Obama
Be-
ever meet with him?
because they didn't want to give them the false promise. They didn't want to give they didn't want the illusion that something was going on. I just read today that North Korea is still building more missiles.
Yeah.
Could be. Trump said after the meeting, maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. We don't know. But at least
but
let's
Obama,
try.
Obama talked and started to and recognized Cuba.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Cuba.
I don't have a problem with Cuba. You
You
guys.
don't
are
have a,
fine.
what do you want? What do you
Cuba's a
want from Cuba?
dictatorship that keeps its people.
I guarantee you, in the next 20 years, if Cuba stays open and capitalism comes in, your dictatorship will go away. And
I
there'll be
agree
democracy in
with
20
you.
years.
I think that
I
was one of the
guarantee
few
you.
That would be
moves.
wonderful.
One of the
Guarantee
few
you.
moves that Obama did in his lifetime as president that actually was the right thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, I think.
But what's happened since then?
Yeah.
I don't know. I know that.
Nothing.
I know Trump changed some rules.
The people,
I know that- I know that-
still are living under a dictatorship. They're living in a third world country. They're driving cars made
Yeah.
in the 1940s and 50s.
I do know you can own a business now in Cuba. I do know there's certain limits you can do. I agree. I'm not in favor of the government there at all. I just know that
Yeah.
if to open it up to capitalism will change the
Well, the
the
problem
government system.
is that Americans go and visit Cuba, and I know several that have gone there. And oh, it's wonderful. It's a beautiful country. I agree with you. It is a beautiful country. Were you allowed to go any place you wanted? Well, not exactly. Of course not. They're
Yeah.
going to show you their showcases.
Sure, they're an
not going to
authoritarian
show you
government. I agree.
the poverty and the way the people really live.
Of course.
So we're faced with a world there are some bad actors that we have to do business with. Nothing's different. Back to the case with Stalin and Tito and Mussolini. They're all around. We got to deal with them. Not every country has got the bright idea that says, hey, you got to be different. You got to be exceptional. The United States is unique. And realistically, that's a tough sell. You know, making the world safe for democracy, that's Woodrow Wilson's plea from way back.
But
and it's not easy.
I know it's not easy, but isn't that what we want? We want more trading partners. We
Well, of
want more
course.
traveling.
Well,
we want people to go back and forth.
No, we want trading partners who are partners, not patsies.
Yeah.
Well, I agree. I would concentrate. We didn't talk about China that much. I would talk more about China. It seems to me that all the rhetoric's about Russia and England and Canada
what
and
was that to say
Mexico.
about China?
I agree with you. I think China's a big cheat. I think
Yeah.
we need to do more work about with China. They have no respect for our software rights. They have no respect for they recreate our patent laws. I would want some sort of agreement with them.
Well, so
How
now
did that happen?
I
it
don't-
doesn't happen like magic.
I don't see Trump talking about China. I don't see him going over
Trump
there.
has,
You're kidding me.
Do you think he has
I
a
see him
lot
too.
on
I
his
see him-
plate?
It
think?
seems to me again. You'd want a united front. I'd want Canada. I'd want Russia, maybe not Russia, but I'd want our traditional friends, our traditional
You
trading partners.
can't-
Did you not notice the
Rely
words
on them.
in the discussion with the representative from the EU, Juncker, that, oh, by the way, we're going to work together about people who are not fair partners.
So we'll have to see.
Did he not make a deal with the Europeans to say, hey, we got to have a united front against people that are stealing our intellectual property?
I agree.
So that is a major breakthrough. It didn't happen before.
It takes time. You have to build relationships. And his kind of relationship is not, we're going to apologize for anything and everything that has ever happened. No, we're going to go out there, walk softly, carry the big stick. That works better than anything else that has been tried.
I don't think you have to apologize, but I also don't think you have to put a tax on all the products that are going back and forth and create
How
the
do you
illusion
attract-
or a
how do
trade
you
war.
get
You're
their
right, and that's what
attention?
Trump wants to do, is eliminate the tax from both sides. Free trade.
Excuse me,
You
I have
remember
to
when he had the
interrupt you.
discussion with the,
Let me interrupt you for just a minute. 3 minutes.
I know,
We have 3 minutes, so
I'm
let's,
watching.
we have to wrap it
no,
up.
during the discussion at the session in Canada, where all hell broke loose, they started talking about the tariffs, and Trump made the comment, says, okay, you don't like the tariffs, we'll all go to zero. Nobody has taken him up on that yet.
Yeah.
And that's where we want to be. Everybody on the same level playing field. No more of this, well, we'll play with the valuation of the yuan and drive the price down, so it makes everybody attractive to come to China to
Sure,
make the
they do
work.
subsidies and they're, you
Yeah.
know, they allow, I know that,
And we've had a problem with Europe for years over the agricultural subsidies.
I
So-
agree with a lot of that.
And nothing has happened. So now he's taken a different tact. Maybe it's not the smoothest move, but it's making an
So
effect.
you're right. One of the results could be good, but one of the results could be catastrophic.
It could be.
I don't know if I'm, that's like,
It could be.
it's not a
It
business,
might
this is the
be.
world.
Understand,
This
listen,
could
no, it
happen,
is.
that
It's a
could happen.
business.
That's the problem with liberals.
I'm going to come back to that. That's the
We
problem with
had to
liberals.
bring that
Yeah.
word in because it's always disaster. If this happens, if that happens. Well, what if it doesn't happen?
So this might
what
work.
if things go well?
So okay, so so President Trump, you know, is using his business strategy, and you know he's got a contractor here that's not playing ball. So instead of like sitting down trying to get some friendly negotiation or whatever he's doing, he's saying, okay, we're going to triple your fee or we're going to cut your fee in a third or whatever, and hoping that contractor goes, okay, we've been unfair. But the other choice is the contractor walks away or something like that. Something bad happens. You're right, not disaster, but just significant destructive forces from what he does. And I don't know if the world
You've
can handle
heard the
that.
expression,
We
if it
don't
ain't
know.
broke,
I don't know.
You've
We
heard
don't
the
know.
expression, if it ain't broke, don't fix it?
Yeah.
Well, guess what? It's been broken. It's been broken for a long time.
We
What you
gotta
got to
fix
do
it.
is try and find a new way to do things. Now, Trump is different than anybody else. He's not a politician. He's doing something different. That's why a lot of people don't like what he's doing, because they've never seen it before. Maybe it'll work. If it doesn't work, you go to plan B.
Who does business by insulting people? That's all he does. I mean, forgive me, it's not all he does.
Wait a minute, wait a minute.
He
You're- you're
insults.
lawyer.
He insults.
This is what
Should we
liberals
start
do,
with
right?
Maxine Water and work our way through the
So
rest?
Maxine Waters is the president of the United States. She's just a congresswoman.
She's a loudmouth
And
congresswoman
there's
who is inciting people to violence,
Yeah.
and it's happening all over the country.
I hear lots of people inciting people to violence on both sides.
She's
Yes,
the
and
word.
that's
She's
the
one of
major
the
I don't
worst.
like what she did. I don't agree with what she did. But Mr. Trump doesn't need to insult other leaders of
Okay, that's it. We have to stop. Thank you very much, gentlemen. It's been fun. We're going to do this again, hopefully on a monthly basis. Stuart is going to be here, and he's going to take everything that we say.
abuse. I did it for the pickles.
Well,
he's a
maybe
good
next time you
sport.
bring some support, we can put another chair here.
He is a good sport. Thank you all for watching, and we hope to see you again soon. Good night.